First of all, it's like the internal resources that we can use, to help them manage this process internally, but also external consultants that can help you, manage this process and start the process, create a roadmap of the process, right? Because so at the end of the day, we don't want to end up with just a bunch of different solutions that don't make any sense if they are put together, right? So two different kind of skill sets, I think. The one would be managing change within the company, and the second one would be most likely an external consultant that have done this, 100 times, and then is capable and confident in designing this roadmap, the way so it provides the highest ROI, and it basically makes sense.
Yeah, because most of the times company have two scenarios. They see two scenarios. First scenario is that
This is something that I'm experiencing whenever talking to manufacturing companies, and then whenever they think about the EMS, which is the energy management system, they always have like internal resources. I don't know, 5 people, whatever people, trying to come up with the specification requirements of the EMS system, right? But does it actually make sense, to do it this way? Does it actually make sense for them to kind of, think of what would be good without knowing what's even possible? I feel that, then that they come up with this, RFP that, requires things that are maybe not crucial for the whole system, or they just. I don't think that's the proper way to approach it, and I just wanted to have this short discussion on what would be, the best way to approach it. Does it really make sense, to make people that are not experts in that area, define the RFP? What do you think?
I think it depends. Like, what's the goal of this team, right? Because maybe you have a team set it up already.
Digital Twin Podcast is a place where technology and business is going hand in hand.
If you are thinking about digitalizing your company, you found the right place.
Podcast is hosted by Adrian Stelmach, consultant who implements IT solutions for manufacturing companies.
And Paul Pachowicz, industrial digitalization expert, who helps global companies to optimize production processes.
So hello and welcome to the next episode of Digital Twin Podcast. We are happy that you're here. Please subscribe to the channel, leave the comment if you're interested in our content. And today's episode is about challenges, and we will talk about 9 biggest challenges related with implementing digital transformation in production companies.
Do you expect me to say anything else?
You can try.
Or is good? No, there's basically nothing to add, as you have stated of what we're going to talk about today. I would skip the small talk for today, and I would go straight into the challenges or problems of digital transformation for manufacturing companies.
Yeah, and I want to start with the study with actually AY implemented or did in Asia in last year. Actually, they asked a few hundred companies what are the challenges, what are the problems related with digital transformation, with technologies they think they are most beneficial. And we have some, I think we will start with it because it will show us like what we expect or what are our experiences related with it and working with customers, and what are the study is talking about.
Sure.
So first question they asked was about does your company have a clear-cut strategy related with digital transformation. And this is interesting because only 3% of companies said that yes, they have a clean cut strategy, yes, they have a budget, and yes, they have an implementation in progress. Only 3%. 20% said that they have strategy and budget, but they didn't start it yet. And 60% that they have an idea, but no strategy. So this is very interesting.
There's a long way between the idea and actually implementing the strategy. So, and then 70% have not started at all, right?
Yeah.
It's not actually thinking of doing anything in terms of digital transformation, which is terrible news, I think.
I think there's a lot of space for us to help them. So it's a good news.
Absolutely.
Okay, second thing is what kind of technology you would choose for your business next 2 years? What's
to
most
implement
beneficial?
within the next 2 years.
Yeah, what's most beneficial? And this is interesting because number one was big data and predictive analytics. Number two is sensors and IoT. And number three is cloud integrated platforms. So
Why do you think this looks like this? Why do you think that the big data and predictive analytics are winning in this competition? As I would say that, cloud migration and then sensors and IoT devices would be more. They have to be in place so the big data and predictive analytics can work. I think this is because the people that are making those kind of decisions, they don't really know what they're talking about. I don't know. This is you do not agree with me, I see. But I just wonder why. How can you talk about big data and predictive analytics if you don't have sensors or IoT devices that can help you collect data? I think this is some kind of misunderstanding. What do you think?
I think every company is in a different stage. So if you are on the stage that you have machines, you have automated process, you have robotics, the next level is, okay, maybe you have a lot of data and you already have the sensors, but you're missing out a central IT system which will put things together and show you some information about it. The next layer would be probably machine learning, maybe artificial intelligence, and maybe big data, because if you don't have any kind of data, first you need to store the data, then you have that much amount of information that you probably put a system in place. But for me, because sensors, big data, predictive analytics, and cloud computing or cloud storage, it's all about the data. So there's nothing. The fourth place is robotics and automation. So it shows you that the trend nowadays, it's all about the data, because companies know that first level, it's automatization. And you can automatize processes, production processes. You can automatize some administration or reporting of things as well. But the next level would be to take care of the information which you already have in your plant. And if you don't have it, you can put some sensors in it. So for me,
absolutely. So it's all about so people are just aware of the fact that the data is the king, is the currency of 2023 and up. So that's why they choosing big data and predictive analytics as the main area of interest, right?
I think the ROI for data analytics and storing the data in general is the shortest, because how you can manage the company well, especially if you have 1,000 or even more employees, hundreds of machines, and so on, if you don't exactly know what's going on in real time.
Okay, I see you came very well prepared for this episode. What are the main challenges or threats in terms of when you implement digital technologies? Like, what would be the first three that are the most that are recognized as the biggest problem when digitalizing companies.
I think we should also say about the rest of the study,
Mm.
because there's two more things. I'll try to make it very short. First is what are the biggest threats related, or threats or challenges related with digital technologies. First one is unclear economic benefits of digital transformation, because it's hard to count actually how the ROI could work, or how is it. Second one is deficiency of people who can actually implement it inside of the company. And third is lack of understanding the impact which digital manufacturing actually can do for your company. And so now the biggest problems, the biggest problems and blockers related with how you can start are actually related with people, right?
Yeah.
Because
But
we don't.
basically, because they have the knowledge, right, that can be used. So, but I think it's two kind of people. First of all, it's like the internal resources that we can use, to help them manage this process internally, but also external consultants that can help you, manage this process and start the process, create a roadmap of the process, right? Because so at the end of the day, we don't want to end up with just a bunch of different solutions that don't make any sense if they are put together, right? So two different kind of skill sets, I think. The one would be managing change within the company, and the second one would be most likely an external consultant that have done this, 100 times, and then is capable and confident in designing this roadmap, the way so it provides the highest ROI, and it basically makes sense.
Yeah, because most of the times company have two scenarios. They see two scenarios. First scenario is that, okay, we want to implement digital manufacturing, let's say, and we do it by ourselves, and we just add some tasks to people which we already have. Or the second approach is that we will outsource all of the work, right? And I think both of those ways are not efficient. Okay, the best way is, as you said before, you have a consultant who can help you, but you also use manpower, you can say, from inside of the company, because consultant will not know as well as your employees how actually the business works, how processes work, how people communicate with each other, and what are their daily challenges. So like a hybrid solution, which you build a team which have also a digital transformation manager as well. Some people from inside of the company and outside consultants, this is a good team to actually create the for example, the roadmap, as you said, and choose which technologies we can start with, which will be the second ones, and so on, and how to connect all the dots together, and then to implement step by step the plan in an agile and flexible way. Okay, so and the last thing about the study will be what is the biggest, what technology brings you the biggest benefit, and also very interesting for me, because the first two places are technologies which are my favorites, and which my expertise is the biggest. So it's overall monitoring and visualization of KPIs. This is the first one. And second one is track and trace the product across the value chain. So first one is about business and how to translate the things which are going on in the company to KPIs that everyone knows and understand. And the second one is how to track what's going on with the product since the beginning, as soon as the raw material till the end, until the
that's
purchase.
That's called traceability, right?
That's it, traceability.
Okay. Also, I see that a lot of people decided that improving quality would be, important benefit, right, of implementing digital technologies.
Yeah, of course. The third thing is improving the quality, because improving the quality makes you less rework. If you have less rework, it means that you can use those time for making a rework to making more actually
Sure.
products. So yeah.
So is it time to take on the challenges?
Yeah, we're done with the studies. Now we can talk about our experience and our top 9 challenges related to implementing new technologies. So for me, the number one is that company actually wants to have changed the entire business very fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's say an example. Let's say that nowadays we have a problem with energy costs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a trigger inside of the company. We say, okay, cost of energy is very high. We have to change. We have to do something to actually manage the situation. And they say, okay, so let's build this great big system, energy management system, who will show us exactly everything with AI, with data
AI
acquisition.
has to be there.
Yeah, AI
This
has
is-
to be there. Everything has to be put in place, and this is a big mistake because if you don't, if you didn't start going to this digitalization road, you will never actually you couldn't tell exactly what are your expectations since the beginning till the end.
Mhm.
You have some ideas, but it's very hard if you didn't see the result to put all of those ideas together.
Absolutely.
That's
Mhm.
why implementing digital transformation roadmap is so important, because you can you are starting this road with the vision of the end, but you are doing it step by step, and in every step you know better because you are actually using the technology and you are experienced after one technology how to use this knowledge to the
Yeah.
another one.
So a quick question,
Mm-hmm.
because this is something that I'm experiencing whenever
Mm-hmm.
talking to um, manufacturing companies, and then whenever they think about the EMS, which is the energy management system,
Mm-hmm.
they always have like internal resources. I don't know, 5 people, whatever people, trying to come up with the specification requirements of the EMS system, right? But does it actually make sense, to do it this way? Does it actually make sense for them to kind of, think of what would be good without knowing what's even possible? I feel that, then that they come up with this, RFP that, requires things that are maybe not crucial for the whole system, or they just, I don't think that's the proper way to approach it, and I just wanted to have this short discussion on what would be, the best way to approach it. Does it really make sense, to make people that are not experts in that area, you know, define the RFP? What do you think?
I think it depends, like what's the goal of this team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe you have a team set it up already, 5 people as you said,
Mm-hmm.
who are only dedicated to find ways how to reduce the cost of energy inside of the company.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't have any other task, they focus only on this one,
Mm-hmm.
probably it's a very good way
Okay.
to do it. The question
They
is
usually have other tasks.
exactly. The question is if you really have this kind of a team, and if really you have only team dedicated for that, because most of the times people are caring about those kind of stuff, but they also have a lot of different things to do. So they do like the optimization and think about the future. It's on probably one of the last things in their scope. So that's the problem. And also the problem is how they actually know what they know. I mean, does company have sensors, as you said, for
Mhm.
energy management system? And if they don't have a IT system set it up, how do they know things, what's going on their inside of the company? The other thing is how do they actually learn, or how does their experience look like? Because if they started working inside of the company with those kind of tasks, probably they are not experienced, and then they don't have a comparison to other companies, to
Right.
other systems, right? And here, someone who actually did it many times and have a many approach can help how to actually set up the right thing and how to actually manage this kind of a team.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
that was a good explanation. I still want to discover a little more, as I believe that this decision making process is broken, which the decision making process looks always the same. Like the C-level person and asks some kind of junior position person in the company to go out there and then get me all the offers of whatever companies. It doesn't matter if it's a custom work, off the shelf solution, doesn't matter. Just bring a lot of them and then choose three that you think are good. I think this is a broken process, but I guess we'll address it some other time.
yes, I think the purchasing process needs to have another episode, probably a really
absolutely.
long one, because there's a lot, as you said, there's a lot of challenges only related with the way from the idea to buying actually anything related with new technologies, right? Because there have to be some steps taken to do it efficiency and to actually do it in the way that everyone understand why company is choosing this way and not the other one. Okay, so second challenge is that companies doesn't have a standardization in different levels. I mean, they are not prepared to just buy a IT system, let's say, for energy management or for anything else.
They are not ready because they do not have like an internal standard that would let them choose the proper system. Like I think this requires a little bit of you know explanation. I think like what do you mean the lack of standard? They have standards. I'm pretty sure they have some kind of standards. How the standards that you have just described, how they correlate with the ability to choose the proper IT system.
Yeah, because the IT system is like a second layer, you can say, above the layer which is related with actually data source, right? Because the data source could be a sensor, could be a sensor from the machine. So the data can be inside of the machine already, but we don't use it in IT system. So we think, okay, let's buy a IT system who will actually count KPIs, let's say.
Right.
And okay, so we can do it, but the question is if every of those machines which we already have the same PLC standard. So because if we have like 50 machines and every machine have a different PLC or different sensors, you have to create for all of them you have to create a different communication standard, right?
Right.
So it's a lot more work. You can do it. It's not like it's not impossible, but there's a lot of work which you have to do on this first layer after you actually implement the IT system.
Right.
So, but if you have the standardization already set it up, so you say, okay, we just buy sensors, this kind of sensors from this manufacturer, this kind of sensors is from this kind of company, and so on. It means that you can create one standard which is much easier to implement and to actually copy to between different machines, right?
Sure. How about
Okay.
I don't know that maybe kind of difficult to understand for business people, but electrical documentation, I think this is something that is also worth mentioning. Just because it's there and that just because it's important. How would you explain it to a business person that needs to be aware of that fact?
Yeah. Let's say you want to have in your system information about power consumption in a specific machine, right? And let's say this machine already have sensor. So how the information from the sensor, the IT system can get the information from the sensor. You need to have documentation which say, okay, this kind of sensor, you can read the data from this place. If you don't have documentation, electric documentation, of signal documentation, it's very hard to do it. You can do it, but also it just takes a lot of time.
Right.
So if you buy a machine, try to make it in one standard. Try to have every machine in similar similar manufacturers of different components. Second of all, always have documentation for all of that.
Right.
So this is very important.
One other thing that I think is crucial here is that most of the, you know, organization leaders, you know, plant managers, they are aware of the fact that they have to maintain the hardware that they work with, but they're not always aware of the fact that software also needs to be maintained, right?
Yeah, if you think about how to actually the implementation cost, and what to do after IT implementation, and what to do after, you have to know that you have to have a team which will actually take care of the IT system after you purchase it. Because it's not like, okay, I will buy an app store, for example, and it will work, and just I have automated updates and so on.
Right.
You need in production like environment, you need to have people who can maintain it for you. So you can outsource it, of course. You can have people on site, but you have to know that it is an issue. It's a real issue which you have to address. And it's the same with because you can talk about the software which you built, but it's also related with the software which is inside of those IoT systems, the sensors, right? Because there is a lot of software inside of it. So you have to think about it, and this is this is a cost which you have to predict if you think about purchasing the IT system, for example.
Absolutely.
And this is hard to count if you do it by yourself, right?
Yeah.
So
The next thing, the next challenge is related to people. And I think there are two different ways to look at it. Because, you know, in some cases, that might be not enough people that are involved in the process. But on the other hand, there also might be too many people involved in the process that are not required. And, you know, just because there's too many stakeholders with, you know, different points of view, they make this process super complicated, and at the end of the day it simply doesn't work, just because there were too many stakeholders, too many requirements, and they couldn't agree, you know, on anything. So what's your take on it? It's either too many or too few people involved in the process.
I think both things are actually correct, because I mean it depends on a specific example, but sometimes, as we talked before, right, that the manufacturing company wants to outsource all of the work to someone who just come from outside and say, okay, we will just do it for you, and it's not that much efficient in my point of view, because this company will never know as much as inside people what's going on in the company. And the other thing is that you always need to have, it's like, let's say I want to buy IoT sensors, and you want to say, no, you don't want to buy IoT sensors, you want to buy a new robot. So who's the judge between us, right? If we have someone who is actually taking care of the project, which is, for example, technological implementation in the company, it means that he will actually listen to both of us and say, okay, but more efficient for us, based on ROI, different other KPIs, means that we should go in this way, not this way, right?
Somebody needs to be able to make a conscious decision, right?
Yeah.
Usually based on data or experience, and that person would be digital transformation manager, right?
Yeah.
Somebody that has the knowledge and maybe is dedicated to that kind of to making that kind of decisions, right? We should not be asking, we should not be expecting, I don't know, the head of IT or whatever other people working within you know, a company to know that. And if we are expecting, you know, the head of IT to be making those kind of decisions, we have to also expect that, you know, there will be some mistakes made just because of the fact that he or she doesn't have the proper knowledge. So what about more like technical you know, people that could be involved in decision-making process, like production manager or chief engineer? Is that important? I mean, it's kind of a silly question. I'm sure it's important, but why?
You know, if you implement new technology in your company, it means that some people will change the way they actually work right now. And implementing it, it means that you have to actually manage the change. This is the one thing. But the other thing is that if someone works, let's say, in quality department, right? And now you are changing, I don't know, IT system who will actually show you the production status of different parts which are produced, related also with quality. Why not ask you, for example, what else do you want, or what else do you need, or how you can optimize your work? In this way, you can, for example, buy system with the same price very often, and have those functionalities already set it up, right? This is the first thing. Second thing is, as I said, related with the change management. Because if I tell you, okay, now you have to work with another software, without telling you why, it means that probably you will be not happy about it, right? You can be a blocker in the implementation. And why I should make you a blocker? Why I cannot discuss with you? So, like, talking with as many people as you can on the very beginning of the project is crucial. Because first of all, you have information directly from people who actually deal with the process, and the second thing, you can actually proper manage the change inside of the company.
Okay. So I think the approach, to solving, the approach to making digitalization decisions is either to outsource everything or do everything internally. But I don't think either of those are good decisions. I think some kind of hybrid decision, some hybrid team, that consists of external consultants, but also involves the people that are doing this on a regular basis. Like they know the all the information about particular factory production line. Combining that knowledge is the key, and I know that's how you conduct this discovery process of how can you help with technology, how can you solve some challenges with technology. You start with asking as many people as you can how they work, what obstacles they see, if they see any improvements. Can you just elaborate a little bit on how the process looks like, so we kind of know that outsourcing everything is not a great idea, doing everything internally is not a good idea, but the hybrid version of it is good. So let's say that we'll use your real life example of you coming into a manufacturing plant and just discussing different options of creating a solution that provides the best ROI, but also includes the knowledge that is already there within the employees that are working at the company.
Yeah, the first step is that you have to have a really holistic approach. So, like, what actually you want to do, and what kind of this is the first step. So what kind of problems do we want to solve? First one. Second one, how it help our business. So where we can actually make some savings, cost savings, let's say. So first level is very holistic approach. The second one is actually choosing the good technology which fits to different parts of this, I would say, holistic approach. So for that, you need someone who actually knows a lot of different technologies. And for example, I am that kind of person, so I have knowledge about different kind of things, which I can actually, talking to someone, I can say, okay, you need this one, not this one, for the starters, let's say. But after a while, after I talk to people, after a while, of course, I need also some other people to jump in this process, because they are experts in let's say IoT, or let's say robotics, or let's say how KPIs should work. So you need different people on different stage of the process. First stage, you need to have people internally and someone who knows the entire like big scope of different kind of things you can actually do, and then you have to invest with specific knowledge, maybe also business analytics on the way. Depends like what kind of what's the project size, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other thing that I'm considering as a challenge for companies is the fact that they try to do this digitalization not as a long-term corporate plan. They do not have a strategy. They are focusing on some areas that at the first glance they seem to be the ones to optimize or digitalize, but maybe they not. Like, this is because this is based on intuition. This is not really based on any kind of data or knowledge. So the fact that the company decides to do several things that might be important, maybe not, but because they don't know, but they just feel that would be something that they want to take care of at the first place, and the lack of long-term corporate strategy, I think is crucial challenge that the companies are doing something, but it's not that it doesn't have a goal, right? It doesn't have like a roadmap that they can follow and get to that goal, because they don't have a goal, so they don't have a roadmap how to get there. And then I think that would be something to kind of discuss now, if you feel like it.
Yeah.
Because yeah, the just looking at simple solutions that at the end of the day might not be integrated, might not be the right decisions. I think this is something that companies should avoid, and they should focus on long-term strategy and dedicated roadmap how to get there. And my question to you would be,
Okay.
why most companies are not doing that this specific way, but they pick and choose different areas that they think would be good to digitize.
I think because it's hard to we talk about AI research, right? I think it's very hard how to connect the business, which is actually which you actually are doing related to production, to with your production, uh, directly with the technologies which you can actually choose. So, but about the strategy, uh, problem is that we think about the strategy, how to change, how our sales should look like yearly, how we should grow, how we should develop, and so on. But we don't think how to use technology to bootstrap, right? Because it could be a real element of our strategy. Like, we are a company which only use, for example, IoT devices, or we are a company which have 50% of robots implemented. It's part of the strategy of the company, which you can also use in marketing. We know companies which are really good about marketing, for example, how the inside of the production plan looks like. And people are looking up about those about those videos from inside, and they say, wow, that's great, because you have great quality. Because of that, you gather a lot of data. Because you gather a lot of data, you're sure that that all of the process is secured, and so on. So I think there's not straight connection between the actual business, which is production, if we talk about manufacturing, and how the technology can benefit from economical point of view, and also about how to fit the specific one to the value stream which you have. So that's the biggest challenge, I would say, related with that. And the other thing is that because we think about like using a technology as a task, right? So let's change sensors to IoT sensors. Like this is a task, but we should we should see. Okay, but why not to choose an agile approach? What not change? Why not change like two sensors for the beginning, and gather data from only those two, and so on. This is a way. This is a long-term road,
Right.
and this is how you can actually and it should be an element of the long-term strategy, not a short-term task.
Absolutely. I think the next challenge is super related to this the lack of long-term strategy, and that challenge would be that the solutions that are being implemented are either temporary or they only addressing a small part of the problem. So the solutions are basically being built, just to address that one small part of the problem, or they are built, just like a bridge between two different scenarios. So they are built because we don't really have an idea how to do it well, so let's just do it real quick, maybe cheap. That's sometimes the case, that let's do it cheap and fast. If you do it cheap and fast, it's not going to be good. So the challenge is that the solutions are either temporary or they are being built as a little they are being built to address a small part of the problem, right?
Yeah, like I think like temporary solutions are not always bad, right?
Mhm.
Or small solution or small software, let's say, it's not always bad. But if you do it, if you buy a specific kind of software, let's say you buy an MES system, right?
Mhm.
And for every or traceability system, and for every machine you have a different traceability system. So if you're buying it for the first time, you can say, okay, I'm not thinking like about what will be the future. I just want to have on this kind of specific machine a traceability system. But if you buy a second machine, third machine, after you have this experience with the first one, you should know like, okay, maybe I should make a standardization of it, or maybe I have only one system, because we have to know that for people who are actually using it in the future, they also have a challenges between different interfaces. It's the same, and you have on your computer, you have like Excel, you have Word, you have PowerPoint. Every of those software are for different tasks, and it's fine. All of us are used to it. But in the company, if you have like 20 different tasks, you don't exactly need 20 different kind of software for it. Maybe there's one software which have all of those things put it together. And I'm not saying you should go this way or this way, but this decision should be uh, done after you know different approaches and different ways, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So let's move to the next one, as
The sixth one.
yeah, it's the sixth one already. Um, we already mentioned that it's important to kind of build those teams, the digital transformation teams, um, in a way that they consist of external consultants and then internal people that are sharing the inside knowledge, right? So why is it that companies usually try to do it on their own, and only when they mess up they decide to hire external consultants, and why is it always too late?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I think because it's lack of trust, and it's because of lack of trust that someone who will consult you wants to actually help you, right?
Yeah.
This is I not exactly understand it in every case, because of course there are people who wants to just sell you a software and you consult with them. And it's good if you do education before you contact anyone, right? You ask Google how you can solve different kind of stuff and make a basic research. But after this basic research, you don't have to go exactly to start the purchasing process, right? And we see it very often.
And you shouldn't.
Yeah, you shouldn't do it. You should because after a while spending on Google, let's say you don't exactly have the whole scope. We can talk it like that. So research is good if you do it internally, but if you talk to like a consultant, you can also assign a contract with him that he cannot be, for example, related also with implementation. So he can consult you, he can help you, but at the same time he don't have to go to the purchasing process of the specific solution. You can do it by just a simple agreement, right? So, and why companies does like that? Lack of trust is, I think, the first one, and the second one is that they don't actually know who to ask, like who can actually be helpful, what kind of knowledge is needed, what kind of companies are in the market, how much it costs. So they think, okay, it's too much from the beginning. We just write our own what we want and just start the purchasing process. So I think that this is a combination of few of those things.
I don't even want to say anything more about that, because it's a problem, and it would be good if more companies could be aware of the fact that they are doing something that they most likely have never done before. Why do they assume that they have internal capabilities of solving those problems, unless they are bigger corporations, organizations that have dedicated teams to actually create the scope of the solution that needs to be implemented. Yeah, the other thing that I was thinking is the fact that we or the companies that need to be digitalized, they don't have a strategy, so they just they very quickly decide that something needs to be done, and they just start doing this. So it's kind of what we have talked about already, but on the other hand, it's just they have this urge to do something, right? So let's say that the energy prices are kind of high these days, and they just decide, okay, so let's just really quickly implement something that will help us, reducing the energy consumption. And sometimes they call it a low hanging fruit, or sometimes they call it like a solution that we can just ad hoc implement, and then save all the money. That's just, I think, another way to explain why the lack of strategy is killing the implementation of digital transformation, right?
Yeah, I think sometimes we see that company does a lot of actions in the same time, and it's in bursts, and it's not like it's kind of someone manages it. Let's say, okay, we buy here a robot, we put some IoT sensors here, we will buy a AI to do something. So there's a lot of projects going on, but they are not like a piece of a bigger plan, right? So this is different puzzles which are like spread on the map of the plant, but they are not synchronized together, right? And this is the problem, because I'm not saying it's a bad approach, because sometimes it's okay to test different things, but are you doing it because this is the decision which you made based on some research knowledge and so on, your roadmap and stuff like that? Or are you just doing it because you see different temporary problems which you want to solve right away? So this is the problem which I see.
And yeah, and also like the whole process has to be kind of aligned with the IT systems that are already put in place, that are already coexisting within the company. And if you making your ad hoc decisions just like that, and you're not considering the whole like ecosystem that's already put in place in your company, you're gonna be making crazy decisions, right? So it at the end of the day, it's not gonna like cooperate. All the systems are not gonna cooperate. They just gonna be like a bunch of different systems put together that at the end of the day will not give you the best ROI. And the other thing that I think the other thing that I think would be important to address would be, let's say that we have the strategy,
Mm-hmm.
and then how do we keep it consistent,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I'm pretty sure there are companies that have no strategy, then there are companies that have the strategy, but they actually have problems with number 8.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why it's number 8. Maybe it could be number 4, but it is number 8. So the number 8 challenge that companies are struggling with implementing digital transformation is the fact that they are not following the strategy that they have set up at the beginning of the process, right? So there are companies that have set up this strategy. Some companies, they just use quick fixes, right? Uh, but the problem that we see is that even if they have this roadmap and strategy put in place, they still have this tendency to not be consistent with implementing that strategy. Anything to say in that area,
Yeah, sure.
Adrian?
I mean, because I think for all of us, thinking about long-term goals, it's always a hustle, right? Because if we think, okay, we are doing work right now, and we will have some benefits like after 5 years, it's hard, right? Because all of us wants very short-term benefits from any actions we do. So it's very hard to think, okay, we are just buying one sensor, then a second one, and so on. So this is the first thing that we don't see. We don't look forward for our long-term goals. We try to solve stuff which we see that they are leaking right now, and then that's not a bad thing. But also, we should ask ourselves: is this leaking thing like a place which we should address right now, or we should address it later? Maybe we should stick to our strategy, as you said. So decision making during this digitalization, I would say, road is very it's very important. It's hard. And the second thing about implementing the long-term strategy is related with that. Because if we start going this road, of course we will have a feedback. So like we have few steps, I don't know, few sensors, and we say, okay, it doesn't work. That's true. It could not work. But the question is, do we have to change the entire strategy because like this few steps doesn't work, or we just have to go to the second milestone which we already have done, if we already have on our roadmap, but just have some additional fixes during that time. So I say this is the thing. So the biggest two problems related with the
lack of consistency of implementing a strategy, right?
Yeah.
But also, if you don't have this consistency, and then you're focusing on short sprints, regarding certain implementations, that also can lead to those budget swelling, right? Just they could be enormous just because we have those short sprints of activity, right? And we're not focusing on the big picture stuff. Instead, we have some kind of budgets allocated, and let's just spend them, right? Let's just use them. It doesn't necessarily mean that they will be used wisely. It only means that they will be spent, which is not the optimal scenario. And I think the one challenge to rules them all is the process, right?
Yeah.
Very often there's no written process, nobody wrote it down. There's no place to find it. And then that process kind of optimize and then regulates everything related to digital transformation. If that's not accessible, for a lot of people in the same time, I think it's a big challenge. It's not something that only one person should have access to, or should be in charge. Even if there is one digital transformation manager, there should be processes especially set up for those companies to be productive, and so they can have guidance. The process also tells them where are they in terms of the progress that they're making, or if they are making any progress at all. So the lack of that written down process eliminates the possibility of successfully running this. I mean, it might happen that the implementation will be successful despite of the fact that there is no process for it. True or false?
Yeah, for sure that that if specific things are done and people only who are doing it knows how to do it, it's not a good in the best way, because you will hire someone else and now he doesn't know how actually everything works. Also, you will not solve the optimization problems, or maybe some of them you can solve, but not in every scenario with the technology. So if something is done in the company which is not optimized, you just build system, doesn't fix your problem. Other thing is that, for example, there's some communication problems between different departments, right? People just with different departments doesn't like talk to each other. If you put system in place, it not necessarily fix the issue that those people are just don't like to communicate to each other. So first of all, you have to ask yourself, like, is there anything before I'll implement the software or I implement the technology which I can do to just put the things together just to work properly? Let's say you want to implement ERP system, right? Okay, but if you start with just base spreadsheet master, which have all of the data, which will be in ERP, building this kind of Excel master, which can show you if people which have to put those data inside together do it in the right way, in the right time, in synchronous way. So I think we expect sometimes too much from the technology and from the new implementations. And I think this is the last one, but it's not the least one, because as you said before, we don't like, the first one was not the biggest and the last one is not the lowest, but all of them we see in our daily basis. And I think this is the written processes is one of the first step which you should do if you didn't do it to for implementing the technology after it.
Yep, I think the process is the most powerful. It's not a tool, but most powerful thing that we should have in place, right?
Yeah.
I think it's time. So just to sum it up, the episode. This is something that we always try to do, which is takeaways.
Yeah.
Takeaways that kind of summarize what do we think was most important during this episode. So what is your takeaway?
I think change management is the key to implement the new technologies. So it's also a big blocker in a lot of processes and projects related with implementing any kind of technology, because we want to we put like a barrier between people and technology, and we don't consider that it should combine and work together. So doing the proper change management strategy for change management is the key for a good any kind of technological projects, because we use the technology to help people work more efficient and to our business work more efficient. This is my takeaway.
Nice one.
Thank you.
I'm gonna kind of repeat whatever we stated before in this episode, which is the understanding of the importance of having a process for dealing with digital transformation. As you know, there's a lot of things that sound familiar, you know, like roadmap, you know, like the proper people doing proper things, consultants, you know, with the experience and know-how and everything. But internal process of communicating or communication, you know, between in-house employees, management, and then consultants. The process for that kind of communication, I think, would be my takeaway, as I think this is not the most important, but it's up there with the most important factors.
Okay, so I guess we are grateful for this.
Please remember to ask our audience to subscribe,
Yeah, sure.
like, and comment. Right?
Yes, please like, comment, subscribe wherever you want, and the best will be combined together. And thank you, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.